Imam from the so-called Ground Zero Mosque in Manhattan has pronounced in his wisdom that homosexuality is mainly caused by emotional or sexual abuse. He claims that gay people were abused as children and that struggling with being gay is the result of a painful trauma. He attributes homosexual orientation to violent emotional or sexual abuse. Once again, we have someone who is trying to portray being gay as something negative, in this case effectively saying that same-sex attraction is a kind of post-traumatic stress disorder. So perhaps the message here is that we're not evil and to be vilified and destroyed, but instead victims to be pitied and cured. Either way, the view espoused is that being gay is an undesirable state. And either way, I don't care for either of those two viewpoints. This is another fairly typical example of selectively interpreting evidence to fit a preconceived worldview and ignoring other explanations that make much more sense. I can say with absolute certainty that the physical, verbal and emotional abuse I received as a child didn't make me gay. I got that abuse because I was perceived as being gay. I was abused because of the teachings of people like this Imam and his Christian equivalents who have embedded homophobia in our culture. If young gay people are more likely to commit suicide than their heterosexual counterparts, it's not because they have mental problems caused by their sexual orientation. It's because they have mental problems caused by other people's reaction to their perceived sexual orientation. I know from my own experience what it's like to be bullied and threatened, beaten and spat on, and have no one to turn to, or at least no one who understands. Although I never contemplated suicide myself, looking back, I can see why some people consider it the only option. My childhood certainly contained more than a fair share of moments of despair. I was one of the lucky ones, though. I was lucky in that my friends, my family loved me for who I am. Many other people are not so fortunate. Being gay is not an injury. It's a natural part of human sexual diversity. This Islam equivalent of hate the sin, not the sinner, doesn't wash any better than its Christian counterpart, especially when the person making the proclamations has no idea what he's talking about. It's a transparent attempt to try and disguise bigotry, and it fails. It's simply an attempt to resurrect the idea that homosexuality is some kind of mental illness. If gay people are psychologically damaged, then their psychological damage arises from their being abused for their sexual orientation. Their sexual orientation doesn't arise from their somehow being psychologically damaged. The idea that gay people are created from being physically or sexually abused, like some analogue of vampirism or zombieism being caused by a bite, is as ridiculous and fictional as the idea of vampires and zombies. Some gay people are abused as children. So there are plenty of children who grow up to be heterosexual. If gay people are the walking wounded, it's due to the abuse and hatred we're subjected to for being gay, for being the victims of homophobia. What gay people need is to be free from the bigotry that leads to this abuse. What nobody needs is some half-baked theory that does nothing other than enable bigotry to continue under a deceitful guise of understanding.